In 1987, the loyal Liang Jingdong, to protect his childhood sweetheart who was suffering domestic abuse, stole all the money from home and fled far away with her. I was avenged by the family of the deceased, beaten until I miscarried at 5 months pregnant. Then I was kidnapped by debt collectors, subjected to inhuman torture, and finally committed suicide in despair. 20 years later, Liang Jingdong, now a billionaire, returned home in glory with his childhood sweetheart. Everyone envied their loving marriage, but no one remembered the tragic fate of the original wife. When I opened my eyes again, Liang Jingdong was rushing to the hospital with his childhood sweetheart who had been abused. Not looking back, I turned around resolutely. This time, I'll take all the family assets, amass a fortune of billions, and return home in glory. Jiang Yuehua, I've told you countless times, Hong Ling and I are just brothers. Hong Ling and I grew up together since we were kids. If there was anything between us, would it even be your turn? Liang Jingdong held Xia Hongling tightly, his eyes looking at me full of disappointment and disdain. Before I could speak, Xia Hongling spoke up in a straightforward manner. Sister Yuehua, I know you're an educated person and don't understand the brotherhood of us children of the martial world, but Jingdong and I are really just good brothers. Think about it. If I really had something with him, why would I marry another man? Liang Jingdong gave Xia Hongling an appreciative look, turned his head, and sternly reprimanded me. Jiang Yuehua, don't always use that filthy mindset of you educated folks to slander my brothers from the streets. Hongling's man is a piece of trash. He beat her like this. I'm taking her to the hospital now. Give me $500, go to the market later and buy an old hen, make some chicken soup and bring it to the hospital. Liang Jingdong gave his orders as if it were the most natural thing in the world, completely forgetting that in the 2 years we've been married, he hasn't contributed a single penny to the household. All the money he earned went to treating his buddies to drinks and meals. Seeing me standing still, Xia Hongling struggled to get out of Liang Jingdong's arms, her eyes red as she looked at me and said, Brother Jingdong, I'll go to the hospital by myself, please don't fight because of me. You and sister-in-law. A flicker of pain crossed Liang Jingdong's usually stern face. Seeing Xia Hongling still struggling to leave, he bent down and picked her up horizontally. Brothers are like limbs, women are like clothes. Hongling, you can rest assured that the woman I marry, whoever she is, must come after my brothers. With a cold expression, Liang Jingdong ordered me, if you don't want to make chicken soup, forget it, just give me 500 yuan first. I also put on a stern face and replied stiffly, I don't have any money. Xia Hongling feigned surprise and said, Sister-in-law, that's not right of you. Brother Jingdong works hard for his money, risking his life every day in the underworld, the money he earns by literally licking blood from the blade. Surely you haven't saved even 500 yuan, have you? Let me tell you, you're not cut out to be the big sister of our brothers like this. Hearing Xia Hongling's words, Liang Jingdong's face showed a hint of discomfort, and he was about to speak up to stop her, but I spoke first. I would love to be frugal and manage the household, but it's your Jingdong brother who hasn't brought a single cent home in the 2 years we've been married. How can I save money when there's no money at home? Xia Hongling blurted out. Don't you have your own salary? I looked at her with a cold smile. You know that's my salary, right? Feeling awkward, Xia Hongling turned her head and buried her face in Liang Jingdong's chest. Liang Jingdong knew he was in the wrong and didn't dare ask me to buy chicken to make chicken soup for Xia Hongling. Holding Xia Hongling, I turned and rushed to the hospital. I was completely drained, slumping down on the wooden bed, secretly relieved. Fortunately, that year I hadn't gotten pregnant with Liang Jingdong's child. Liang Jingdong and I were never meant to be in the same world. He was the leader of the Reborn gang in our county, with dozens of brothers under his command. I was the obedient daughter of a scholarly family, never having been in a fight in my life. 3 years ago, I caught the eye of a local gang leader who relentlessly pursued me, insisting on being my boyfriend. I disagreed, but the other party actually kidnapped me, trying to force the issue. In my moment of crisis, it was Liang Jingdong, passing by, who saved me. He even took his brothers to teach that gang leader a harsh lesson for my sake. I had never seen a hero like Liang Jingdong in the. Despite my family's objections, I insisted on marrying this. I thought that after marrying him, he would shield me from all the storms outside. Little did I expect that after marrying Liang Jingdong, all the storms in my life would be brought by him. Liang Jingdong was involved in the underworld, with fights and revenge happening every other day. I'd been splashed with dirty water on the street and had my windows smashed with bricks at home, leaving me covered in shattered glass. Liang Jingdong was also extremely concerned about his reputation. He would always lend a hand to his brothers whenever they faced difficulties, and when his own money wasn't enough, he would ask me for money. In my previous life, I was blinded by love and used my dowry to support Liang Jingdong's brothers. Within 2 years, I had spent every last bit of the dowry my family had given me, thinking of all I've given. All I got in return was a dry sister-in-law. You're so kind. In my past life, I was hunted down by Liang Jingdong's enemies, and none of his so-called brothers stood up for me. Later, I was thrown into an underground cabaret to pay off a debt, and 2 of Liang Jingdong's good friends actually joined other men in bullying me. I truly don't want to be this sister-in-law for even one more day. Fortunately, it's not too late. I took out an account book from the box, which recorded the money Liang Jingdong had taken from me over the past 2 years of our marriage. All that money was used to help his brothers. When he came to me for money, Liang Jingdong swore solemnly that his brothers were all honorable people, and they were just going through a temporary hardship. He promised to return the money as soon as they got back on their feet. In my previous life, I was chased by debt collectors, who brutally forced me to miscarry my 5-month-old baby. With my battered body, I went door to door to collect debts. None of Liang Jingdong's so-called loyal brothers opened the door for me. Some set dogs on me, others turned their backs on their debts, and some even took the opportunity to harass me, crudely offering to repay the money if I, their big sister, spent the night with them. I'd rather throw my money into the water than let those bastards get away with it. I went door to door with the ledger, collecting debts. In this life, Liang Jingdong is still the formidable leader of the Reborn gang, and even the local small-time crooks in the county fear him. Seeing me with the ledger demanding money, though they muttered why is brother Dong like this, they all obediently paid up. After 2 full days of work, I finally managed to recover 80% of the dowry money I had lent out. The remaining 20%, if I'm not mistaken, was all borrowed by Liang Jingdong to Xia Hongling. For these 2 days, Liang Jingdong hasn't been home, but since he's a big shot in the county, I hear about his affairs with Xia Hongling every day. It's said that Liang Jingdong personally escorted Xia Hongling back to her in-laws' place and gave the abusive husband a thorough beating. It's rumored that Liang Jingdong rented out the entire ballroom to celebrate Xia Hongling's birthday, and even ordered a 2-tiered cream cake from the city, making Xia Hongling the center of attention. Only I know that Liang Jingdong is coming back to ask me for money again. The day before Liang Jingdong was due to return, I deposited all the money I had gotten back into a fixed-term bank account. In the evening, Liang Jingdong came back carrying 2 boxes of leftover food. Yuehua. Didn't you get enough to eat tonight? I brought back your favorite sticky rice chicken and steamed pork. I interrupted his attempt to please. You're mistaken. Sticky rice chicken and steamed pork are Xia Hongling's favorites. My mother loves health-conscious eating, so I grew up with light meals at home. My favorite dishes are celery with lily bulbs and boiled shrimp. Liang Jingdong paused, awkwardly placing the 2 leftover dishes on the table, rubbing his hands, and leaning in with a flattering smile. Yuehua, do we still have money at home? Hongling was discharged today, and she invited our group of brothers to eat and dance. The restaurant and dance hall still have outstanding bills. You know, Hongling's man is no good. He doesn't even give her living expenses. How can she afford to pay the restaurant and dance hall bills? I let out a cold laugh. If you don't have money, don't act rich. Besides, why should I pay for Xia Hongling's dinner and dancing? Liang Jingdong impatiently interrupted me. It's not about you paying, it's about us lending her the money first. When Hongling has money, she'll pay us back. I calmly took out the ledger and handed it to Liang Jingdong. Alright, as the saying goes, borrowing and repaying makes it easy to borrow again. I can lend money, but first, Xia Hongling needs to pay back what she borrowed from me. Liang Jingdong suspiciously took the ledger, flipped through it, and his expression gradually changed. Hongling said you're cunning, and I even defended you. But I never expected you to keep a detailed record of every penny you lent to our brothers. With a loud rip, she tore the ledger in half and threw it forcefully at me. I stood still, staring at him. Go ahead and tear it. I've made several copies of this ledger. I'm telling you now, if Xia Hongling doesn't repay the money within 3 days, I'll take the ledger and go collect from her husband. You. Liang Jingdong was furious with embarrassment, raising his arm to strike me. I coldly stared at him. If you dare touch me, I'll go straight to the police station and report you. Liang Jingdong laughed in anger. Report me? Don't you know my buddies are in the police station? I nodded. Of course I know. I didn't expect the police station to arrest you. I just wanted to embarrass you. The renowned brother Dong, feared in the underworld, was actually reported to the police station by his own wife. It's hilarious just thinking about it. Liang Jingdong couldn't control me, so he angrily flipped the table and stormed out. This time, I didn't clean up his mess for him. After all, the house we got married in was rented. If I don't want the man, why would I want this rundown house? To my surprise, just as I was packing my bags, Liang Jingdong returned. Behind me, Xia Hongling stood in a newly bought red dress, glaring at me triumphantly, as if she had caught me in some huge misdeed. She was waiting to see me suffer. As soon as Liang Jingdong entered the room, he grabbed the thermos from the table and smashed it violently onto the floor. The splashing hot water and shards hit me, instantly cutting a dozen bloody gashes into my legs beneath my skirt, and my arm was scalded red by the boiling water. Liang Jingdong was startled, about to walk over to me, when suddenly a blood-curdling scream came from behind him. Jingdong go, my arm hurts so much. Without hesitation, Liang Jingdong turned around, his face filled with concern as he held Xia Hongling's arm. Seeing a small blister on her smooth arm from being scalded by hot water, he immediately scolded me harshly. Jiang Yuehua, apologize. I clutched my burned arm, glaring at him through gritted teeth. You're the one who dropped the thermos. I did nothing. Why should I apologize? Liang Jingdong scolded with a dark face. If you hadn't insisted on making Hongling pay back the money, she wouldn't have come back with me. If she hadn't come, she wouldn't have been hurt. Our marital quarrel led to Hongling's injury. Shouldn't you apologize? I looked at Xia Hongling, half smiling, and asked her, so, are you here today to ask me for the money back? Xia Hongling blushed slightly and immediately looked up at Liang Jingdong with difficulty. Liang Jingdong's face darkened. What money are you talking about? I'm the head of this household. I'll take care of Hongling's debt. She doesn't need to pay it back. I couldn't help but laugh at Liang Jingdong's self-righteousness. Liang Jingdong, what a nerve you have. My dowry money. Why do you think you have the right to decide? Because I'm your man. I don't want you as a man anymore. I endured the searing pain in my legs, turned around, grabbed the divorce papers from the table, and threw them in Liang Jingdong's face. Liang Jingdong, let's get a divorce. Hearing me say the word divorce, a flicker of shock crossed Liang Jingdong's eyes. Jiang Yuehua, what exactly are you making a fuss about? I've been so good to you. Since we got married, I haven't even touched you with a finger. We've only had this one argument, and now you want a divorce. Xia Hongling also chimed in with a sarcastic tone to mediate. Sister Yuehua, don't take your blessings for granted. Men like Jingdong who are capable, family-oriented, and don't beat their wives are as rare as hen's teeth these days. I looked at her with a strange expression and retorted, is your standard for men so low? As long as he doesn't beat his wife, he's a good man. No wonder the men you choose keep getting worse. Xia Hongling's face turned red with anger after my words, and she pouted Liang Jingdong in a spoiled manner. Jingdong go, we're brothers, so you're just going to stand there and watch your wife humiliate me to my face? Liang Jingdong's face turned ashen, and he glared at me fiercely. Jiang Yuehua, apologize to Hongling. I crossed my arms and coldly looked at this despicable couple, countering him. Apologize? Sure, then tell me, which of my words just now was wrong? Not beating your wife makes you a good man. Xia Hongling, Jiang Yuehua, can't handle such a good man. If you're so fond of him, why don't you just divorce your husband who likes to beat his wife? I'll give Liang Jingdong to you, so he can take care of you openly in the future, instead of sneaking around like you two do now. With a loud slap, Liang Jingdong slapped me across the face, seeing my fair half-face turn bright red instantly, with 5 finger marks clearly visible. Liang Jingdong was immediately at a loss. Yuehua, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hit you. It was just a moment of anger. Why don't you hit me back? I touched my burning half-face, chuckled lightly, and said, sure. With that, I raised my arm and slapped Liang Jingdong hard across the face. The force was so great that it nearly knocked his head sideways. Xia Hongling didn't bother pretending to be weak. She rushed over to retaliate for Liang Jingdong. I slapped her across the face with the back of my hand, and Xia Hongling screamed, charging at me to hit back. To my surprise, Liang Jingdong held her back firmly. Xia Hongling scolded him with frustration, feeling he was hopeless. Brother Jingdong, let go. Today, I absolutely have to teach this woman a good lesson for you. Let me tell you, you can't spoil a woman. If you don't put her in her place now, next time she'll be shitting all over you. I looked at her, hardly able to believe it. How could a woman who had just been hospitalized after being beaten by her own husband instigate another man to beat his wife? Xia Hongling still wanted to defend Liang Jingdong. Unexpectedly, Liang Jingdong said, Hongling, forget it. Yuehua is an educated woman, delicate and frail, unlike you, who grew up climbing walls and fighting with boys, tough as nails. How could I bear to hit her? Xia Hongling was caught off guard by his words, her face instantly turning red with a mix of shame and anger. I couldn't help but burst out laughing. For the past 2 years since marrying Liang Jingdong, Xia Hongling has been closely interacting with him as a good brother, spending even more time together than I, his official wife. But now that Liang Jingdong has openly acknowledged she's just a brother, Why is Xia Hongling so upset? Xia Hongling stormed out in anger, and this time, Liang Jingdong didn't chase after her. Instead, he acted like a good man, picking up the broom and sweeping up the fragments of the thermos on the floor. Then he eagerly invited me to ride on his newly bought motorcycle, planning to take me out for hot pot. Yuehua, haven't you always wanted to try that lamb hot pot place? Let's go. Today I'll take you there. Just the two of us. I'll ride my motorcycle and take you. How ridiculous. When he first bought this Jiaoling motorcycle, I shyly put on his favorite light yellow dress, waiting for him to ride it, just like in the movies, and take me through the streets and alleys. But when he rode his newly bought motorcycle home, I saw Xia Hongling with her bold red lips and a striking red dress sitting on the back seat, right in front of me. Xia Hongling brazenly and triumphantly wrapped her arms around Liang Jingdong's waist, all the while talking in a loud and carefree manner. Sister-in-law, please don't misunderstand. Jingdong and I are just good brothers. We had an agreement that if he bought a motorcycle, I would be the first to ride it. Please don't take it the wrong way. At that moment, I felt a mix of bitterness and sadness, almost on the verge of tears from the. Next, Liang Jingdong asked me to get money and invited the brothers to a lamb hot pot dinner to celebrate his new purchase. I took the money to the hot pot restaurant, ready to go in, but Xia Hongling pushed me out. Sister-in-law, today is a guy's night. A bunch of good buddies drinking together. You, being a woman, should probably sit this one out. I helplessly looked at Liang Jingdong. He nodded. Hongling is right. These guys can get pretty rowdy, and I don't want you to get scared. You should go home first. That day, I stood hungry outside the hot pot restaurant, watching as Liang Jingdong, amidst the teasing of his good buddies, reluctantly drank the cross-armed toast with Xia Hongling. I couldn't understand why the brotherhood they spoke of seemed so ambiguous. In this life, I finally understand. This isn't some bullshit brotherhood at all. It's just a woman playing games with a married man. My thoughts return, and Liang Jingdong is still going on and on about taking me to eat lamb hot pot and letting me ride on the back of his motorcycle. I smirked, revealing a mocking smile. Liang Jingdong, do you want to open your eyes and look at me? I'm covered in wounds right now, and all I need is to get to the clinic to get bandaged up quickly. Besides, lamb is considered a trigger food, and people who are injured shouldn't eat it. Liang Jingdong paused for a moment, awkwardly and flusteredly explained. I didn't know. I interrupted him. You know, Xia Hongling got injured in a fight at the dance hall before. You asked me to cook for her and specifically reminded me that she was cut by a glass bottle, so she can't eat things like beef or lamb that can cause inflammation. After a moment of silence, I still got on Liang Jingdong's motorcycle. My health is more important. It's not worth hurting myself over such two despicable people. Arriving at the clinic, the doctor was helping me clean the wound when suddenly, Xia Hongling's brother Xia Hongqiang showed up. Brother Jingdong, it's bad. My sister went crazy and got into a fight at the arcade. The Filong gang has captured her and says they're going to cut off one of her arms. Liang Jingdong sprang to his feet, ran a few steps, then remembered I was still dealing with my wound. He turned back and urged me, Yuehua, stay here and take care of your wound. I'll come back for you after I handle things with Hongling. Without hesitation, he followed Xia Hongqiang straight to the arcade. I knew he wouldn't be coming back. Xia Hongling wouldn't allow him to return either. After bandaging the wound, I limped back to the rental house and began to ponder my future path. Liang Jingdong would definitely not agree to a divorce, but that's okay. I have a way to force him to divorce me. Thinking of Xia Hongling's husband, who was just as unlucky as mine, I followed my past life's memories and found Wang Zhigua, Xia Hongling's husband. Surprisingly, Wang Zhigua seemed gentle and refined, not the type of man who would be violent and abusive at home. After sitting down and chatting for a while, I learned that Xia Hongling was beaten not just because she danced closely with Liang Jingdong at the nightclub. Xia Hongling is nothing but a shameless slut who sleeps with anyone. She's clinging to your man because Liang Jingdong hasn't been played by her yet. I heard her brag to the people at the dance hall that among the good-looking men in the Iron gang, she had slept with every single one except Liang Jingdong. She even gave me a sexually transmitted disease. Wang Zhigua shed tears of pain and despair. I was completely stunned. What are you going to do next? Wang Zhigua said viciously. Of course, I'm getting a divorce, but I'm not letting this bitch off easy. The 600 yuan in betrothal money my family gave when we got married must be returned in full. I suddenly realized. No wonder Xia Hongling insisted on borrowing 600 yuan from Liang Jingdong in her previous life. Thinking about the way Xia Hongling looked at Liang Jingdong, I suddenly had an idea. Wang Zhigua, help me with two things, and I can get you divorced from Xia Hongling and smoothly retrieve the 600 yuan in betrothal money. That evening, I specially prepared a table of good dishes and asked someone to call Liang Jingdong home for dinner. Liang Jingdong thought I had finally given in and softened, and he praised me with relief. This is how a big sister-in-law should be, I sneered inwardly, deliberately steering the conversation towards Xia Hongling. Jingdong, I've thought it through. Hongling is always causing trouble outside because she's unhappy in her marriage. That's why she doesn't want to come home. I heard Hongling wants to divorce her husband, but his family is adamant. They insist she return the 600 yuan in betrothal money they gave when they got married before they'll agree to the divorce. Liang Jingdong frowned. 600 is too much, I nodded, my face gentle as I suggested. Hongling is like a brother you've grown up with since childhood. How can you bear to see her continue to suffer in an unhappy marriage? Why don't we sell your motorcycle? With the money from the sale, we can give 600 yuan to help Hongling get a divorce. The rest can help with household expenses. Hearing that I wanted him to sell the motorcycle, Liang Jingdong hesitated. If the money isn't enough, I'll borrow some more. Check how much we have at home and let's pool it together. Let's just forget about selling the motorcycle. I need it for getting around every day. I had already guessed he wouldn't be willing to sell the car. I stood up, opened the door, and Xia Hongling, who had been eavesdropping outside, walked in with red eyes. Brother Jingdong, didn't you say that for the sake of your brothers, you'd go through fire and water without hesitation? If I sell the motorcycle, I can always buy a new one later, but if I don't divorce Wang Jigua, I'll end up getting beaten to death sooner or later. Brother Jingdong, we're brothers, please sell the car and help me get a divorce. Okay. Liang Jingdong was always concerned about his image in front of his brothers. After being guilt-tripped by Xia Hongling, he had no choice but to grit his teeth and reluctantly agree to sell the car. After retrieving the betrothal gifts, Wang Jigua quickly finalized the divorce with Xia Hongling. I also suggested that Liang Jingdong spend more time with Xia Hongling during this period. Hearing my words, Liang Jingdong looked astonished and felt a vague sense of unease, tentatively asked me, "You're not mad that Xia Hongling is clinging to me like this, are you?" I smiled gracefully and said, "I was being too narrow-minded before, and I shouldn't have been so jealous. I know you just see Hongling as a brother. Besides, I'm the eldest sister-in-law, and you're right, as the eldest sister-in-law, I should be more broad-minded." Liang Jingdong looked relieved and praised me a couple of times before hurrying out to comfort his brother. With my enthusiastic promotion, everyone in the Irong gang now knows that the chivalrous brother Dong sold his beloved motorcycle to support his brother's divorce. How could Liang Jingdong, always eager for the spotlight, pass up an opportunity to be admired by his brothers? That evening, Liang Jingdong booked out the dance hall to celebrate Xia Hongling's escape from her abusive ex and return to single life. I knew Xia Hongling wouldn't let this opportunity slip by. 2 hours later, I received a call from Wang Jigua. Liang Jingdong got drunk, and Xia Hongling took him to a hotel. I pretended to be worried, called over Liang's relatives, and we found our way to the hotel. When I pushed the door open, I saw the two of them tightly entangled, with torn clothes scattered all over the floor. The father-in-law was so furious that he kicked Liang Jingdong. The mother-in-law let out a scream and lunged forward, slapping Xia Hongling twice. In my previous life, I was always curious why, despite Xia Hongling and Liang Jingdong being childhood sweethearts who grew up next door to each other, my mother-in-law was adamant about not letting Liang Jingdong marry Xia Hongling. Now it seems that the mother-in-law must have known long ago about Xia Hongling's affairs with other men. She didn't want her son to be cuckolded, so she chose me. The obedient girl, Liang Jingdong, kicked awake by his father-in-law, finally saw me standing among the crowd. His expression instantly panicked. "Yue Hua, listen to me, it's not what you think." I coldly stared at him. "Liang Jingdong, let's get a divorce. You know I have a thing about cleanliness. I don't want a man who's been tainted." Liang Jingdong, after all, was too proud to refuse, and agreed to divorce me. We had been married for 2 years, living in a rented apartment. He rarely contributed financially, and I had been using my dowry to cover household expenses and support his parents. Aware of his guilt, Liang Jingdong insisted on giving me the remaining money from the sale of his motorcycle during the divorce. I didn't refuse. It was rightfully mine. After the divorce, I sold my job as a substitute teacher, took 5,000 yuan, and headed south to start a small merchandise business. Riding the wave of the times, I opened small merchandise chain stores in over a dozen cities, with all sorts of novel and beautiful hair ties, accessories, earrings, rings, hats, shoes, and socks, making me a fortune. That year, a major flood hit the provincial capital, and seeing the soldiers working tirelessly to fight the flood, their feet long submerged in the water, covered in wounds, unable to bear it, I took all the cotton socks and slippers from the warehouse and sent them to the front lines of the flood relief effort. I never expected that my old classmate would be the one in charge of receiving these donated supplies. Jiangyue Hua, you, the brilliant scholar, how did you end up in business? Fu Liangchen, weren't you determined to become a scientist? How did you end up in the military? We exchanged a smile, as if we had returned to our familiar campus. After that day, I officially joined the volunteer team for flood relief efforts. Over the years of running my shop in the provincial capital, I had built up a network of connections. Under my call, countless compassionate merchants joined the flood relief efforts. When the soldiers were hungry, the merchants provided hot soups, fried bread, tea, eggs, and meat buns. When the soldiers were tired, tents were set up on the dike, so they no longer had to sleep on cold, damp grass. A few days later, the flood finally receded. In the crowd bidding farewell to the peoples, I was pushed into Fu Liangchen's arms by a few girls from the shop. Commander Fu, how can I ever repay your life-saving grace? How about I give you a wife? Fu Liangchen blushed and shouted, yes. 3 months later, I got married to Fu Liangchen. After the wedding, I didn't join the military. Instead, I stayed in the provincial capital to start my own business. Fu Liangchen handed over all the savings he had been setting aside for marriage, totaling over 30,000 yuan. With this money, plus the savings from my 2 years of running a shop, I bought a piece of land in the suburbs and opened the only small commodity wholesale market in the provincial capital. I divided the wholesale market into over 100 shops, giving priority to renting them to military families in difficult circumstances. After the small commodity market opened, business was booming, and the military awarded me a certificate as a model military spouse for creating so many job opportunities for military families. The success of the small commodity market also boosted many businesses in the surrounding area, especially for some laid-off workers who successfully re-employed themselves by peddling tricycles and carrying heavy loads for merchants around the market. However, what surprised me was that I unexpectedly ran into my ex-husband, Liang Jingdong, at the wholesale market. He looked much older than his actual age. With his left arm amputated, he gripped the handlebar with one hand, riding a battered second-hand tricycle, going door to door to solicit business. Boss, need a delivery. Boss, call me for delivery. I'll give you a discount of 1 yuan per load. Seeing me approaching with a bunch of keys to collect rent, Liang Jingdong's eyes darted in panic. He quickly lowered his head, twisted the handlebar, and hastily rode away on his tricycle. It wasn't until later that I found out his arm was severed when he stood up for Xia Hongling in a fight at the dance hall. After Liang Jingdong divorced me, Xia Hongling was eager to take my place. Unfortunately, Liang Jingdong had never considered marrying her. Being part of the same circle and the leader of their gang, how could Liang Jingdong not know that Xia Hongling had slept with many men in the gang? Such a woman would make a good friend. Marry her. Liang Jingdong is afraid of getting cheated on. After relentlessly pursuing him, Xia Hongling found that Liang Jingdong still refused to marry her. So, just like before, she started causing trouble by getting drunk and acting out at dance halls and game arcades, forcing Liang Jingdong to clean up her messes. That's how Liang Jingdong lost an arm and became disabled. Unexpectedly, at this moment, the provincial capital began a crackdown, and the dance halls were shut down. After the gang disbanded, Liang Jingdong lost his source of income, and with one arm broken, he had no choice but to reluctantly marry Xia Hongling for someone to take care of him. After marriage, Liang Jingdong remained the same as before, always ready to go to bat for his brothers. He lent money to his brothers in need, and when they had no food, he brought them home and treated them to good meals. The money at home was quickly squandered by Liang Jingdong. When he ran out of money, he would borrow from others or secretly sell Xia Hongling's clothes and jewelry. A casual remark like "Brother Dong is so righteous" would make Liang Jingdong want to empty out his entire family's savings. At first, it was manageable, but after repeated instances, Xia Hongling could no longer bear it. After a big fight with Liang Jingdong, Xia Hongling couldn't resist her old habits. Unable to resist the temptation of good food and beautiful clothes, she finally gave in and started working at a KTV selling drinks. During one of her shifts entertaining guests, Xia Hongling was caught red-handed by Liang Jingdong. The couple had a huge argument at a late-night snack stall, and it finally dawned on Liang Jingdong why Xia Hongling's ex-husband had abused her. Liang Jingdong also felt the urge to hit his wife, but Xia Hongling had already hooked up with a new nightclub boss. At the elder brother's command, his underlings swarmed forward and nearly beat Liang Jingdong to death. Liang Jingdong got divorced again, this time, with a broken arm and no job. No one would introduce him to anyone anymore. A few years later, Fu Liangchen and I, with our just-turned 1-year-old twins, returned to our hometown to pay respects to our ancestors and heard news of Liang Jingdong once more. Liang Jingdong had passed away. It is said that after getting drunk one time, he suddenly went crazy, shouting that he was a billionaire, and went to the KTV to look for Xia Hongling. As a result, Xia Hongling gave him a good mocking, and in a fit of rage, he grabbed a fruit knife from the coffee table and stabbed Xia Hongling 18 times. Xia Hongling died on the spot, and Liang Jingdong was sentenced to death. Hearing that I had returned, Liang Jingdong's parents asked someone to deliver a crumpled envelope to me, saying it was a letter Liang Jingdong wrote to me before his death. Fu Liangchen glared at the envelope with obvious jealousy. Want to open it and take a look? I shook my head and casually tossed the envelope into the fire pit. Story 2. The first thing I did after being reborn was to dip my hands in sulfuric acid to destroy the fingerprints on all 10 fingers. In my previous life, my foster sister committed a murder, but she left my fingerprints at the scene, making me the scapegoat. Instead of seeking justice for me, my parents provided false testimony for my foster sister and led the online mob against me as the murderer. On the day I was executed, they took my foster sister to an island to celebrate their survival. I opened my eyes again, and I was reborn an hour before my foster sister committed murder. This time, I will make sure they have no false evidence to fabricate. I stood in the center of the world's busiest square, removing my clothes one by one under the shocked or mocking gazes of countless people. First, a down jacket, then an inner layer, and finally thermal underwear in the cold winter. Finally, I danced a spicy routine in underwear that barely covered the essentials. Countless cameras were aimed at me, and a live stream with millions of views was born because of me. Family, please give me a follow. After the striptease, I'll perform the acid hand wash for everyone. The chat in the live stream went wild upon hearing that. Is this woman crazy? Even for clicks, there should be a limit. Nothing from the outside world could distract me. I continued dancing. When I finished my last song, the security guards arrived late. Get out of here, or we'll take you to the police station. I smiled and slapped my ID onto one of them. My name is Ji Baozhu. My father is Ji Jiping of Ji Group, my mother is ballet dancer Su Qiuqi, and my sister is the campus beauty Ji Wanqing from Jing University. Go ahead and call the police, and contact them if you want. As I spoke, I picked up the sulfuric acid that had been placed beside my feet. What are you doing? Deliberate injury is a crime that lands you in jail. Seeing me open the lid of the sulfuric acid, the security guard was so scared that he could barely speak clearly. I ignored them and directly poured the sulfuric acid onto the ground, placing both palms on it. Sizzle sizzle. The delicate skin was instantly corroded by strong acid, and the air filled with the burnt smell of grilled meat. I was drenched in cold sweat from the pain, my body completely drained of strength, yet the exhilaration in my heart still made me rise to my feet. The onlookers had already retreated more than 3 meters away, and I walked up to the person closest to me, whose phone was live streaming. I showed my bloodied hands to everyone, gritting my teeth. Do you see this clearly? After 5:30 p.m. on January 12th, I, Ji Baozhu, no longer have fingerprints. In my previous life, just 3 hours later, my so-called sister, Ji Wanqing, would force a female classmate to the rooftop and push her off herself. She had already put on gloves with my fingerprints and destroyed all the nearby surveillance cameras. My parents helped her with an alibi while framing me for the murder. They joined forces to make me the scapegoat. But now, I've made a name for myself in front of the whole world, at the cost of my hands being bloodied and mangled. I recall the insincere words Ji Wanqing spoke to me during her visit in my previous life. Sister, I had no choice. It's because mom and dad love me so much. If I went to prison, how heartbroken they would be, so I had to inconvenience you. So, to fulfill my sister's wish for a family reunion, I had to send all 3 of them to prison. Silently putting on gloves, I was in the security office with the guard, being questioned by the police, when a sudden force yanked my hair and knocked me to the ground. Immediately after, I was slapped twice with a sharp, resounding slap. You worthless piece of trash, your striptease is all over the internet, and you brought shame to the Ji family. Standing before me were Ji Jiping and Su Qiuqi, my biological parents. Seeing no reaction from me, Ji Jiping's anger flared even more, and he grabbed my chin, interrogating me harshly. It's bad enough that you've embarrassed yourself, but why did you have to mention your sister's name during the live stream? Su Qiuqi's eyes welled up with tears, filled with disappointment as she looked at me. How could I have given birth to someone like you? If Ji Wanqing suffers the slightest grievance because of you, I will immediately cut ties with you as a mother. Unexpectedly, 2 hot tears rolled down my cheeks. A heart that should have been long disappointed with this couple was now torn apart, more painful than the biting winds of the coldest winter months. Before I turned 5, I was still the little princess of the family, but ever since Ji Wanqing was adopted, Mr. and Mrs. Ji's hearts have never been on my side for a single day. When I was young, because I fought with her over the same doll. Ji Jiping had me hung up and brutally beaten, then locked in a dark basement. If it weren't for the kind nanny who brought me some food every night, I might have died in that damp basement. Up until now, my entire first half of life has been spent under the shadow of Ji Wanqing. Whenever she was dissatisfied, the punishment ranged from being locked up and subjected to family discipline to fasting until hospitalization. After the college entrance exam results were released, I was admitted to Jing University, while Ji Wanqing only managed to get into a regular undergraduate program. Just as I thought the opportunity for liberation had finally arrived, Ji Jiping used his connections to swap our scores. Ji Wanqing's celebration banquet lasted 3 days and 3 nights, inviting the entire city. Meanwhile, I was cut off from my living expenses and forced to work day and night to make a living. Suddenly, a crisp phone ring pulled me out of my memories. Lowering her head, Su Qiuqi saw Ji Wanqing's call clearly on her phone screen. Shifting from her sharp and bitter demeanor towards me, she answered the phone with a radiant smile. "Good baby, what's wrong?" Something was said on the other end of the phone, and Su Qiuqi's expression changed repeatedly before finally locking his gaze on me. She handed her phone to Ji Jiping, then leaned in close to me and forced a smile she thought was kind. "Bao Zhu, it was all our fault just now, just so happens. Mom wants to make it up to you by booking a Seaview hotel. Haven't you said you haven't had a meal with Mom in a long time? Is it finally about to happen?" Desperate for parental affection in my past life, I got into their car without hesitation, heading towards the seaside hotel. Little did I expect the car to stop at the building where the female student had fallen. Inside, Ji Wanqing had meticulously designed a package for me to take the blame, this time, in response to her questioning. I spat a mouthful of bloody spittle onto Su Qiuqi's exquisite face. "I'm not going. Besides, I still have my striptease to finish." "Ah!" Su Qiuqi let out a scream, stood up, and pointed at my nose, ready to yell, but something made her hold back. "Bao Zhu, don't act like a child. Mom and Dad have already apologized to you, haven't they?" She spoke while also grabbing Ji Jiping's clothes, urging him to say something. I spat another mouthful of blood onto Ji Jiping's face and smirked at him. I said, "I'm not going." With almost all his strength, Ji Jiping kicked me in the chest, sending me flying a meter away. My back slammed against the marble pillar of the police station, feeling like my spine was about to crack. "Don't push your luck. Come on, tie her up and throw her in the car." Ji Jiping angrily wiped the blood off his face and summoned 2 black-suited bodyguards. The police officer tried to stop them, but was threatened by Ji Jiping. "I have connections up high." 2 bodyguards roughly twisted my arms behind my back, grabbed my hair, and tried to shove me into the car. "Throw him in the trunk. This insolent fool doesn't deserve to sit in the back seat." Instantly, fearful memories flooded my mind, and I began to struggle violently. 3 years ago, Ji Jiping and Su Qiuqi took Ji Wanqing on a road trip. I had to beg and plead just to be allowed to tag along in the trunk, but for the entire trip, they seemed to forget I existed, leaving me in the trunk for 3 whole days and nights. The will to survive drove me to break out of the trunk, but Ji Wanqing accused me of damaging her beloved car and convinced her parents to dump me on the highway. To this day, I still have scars on the soles of my feet that haven't faded. "Let go of me. I don't want to get into the trunk." Despite my desperate struggles, the black-clad men still followed Ji Jiping's orders and dislocated both my arms. "Mom doesn't want to do this to you." Su Qiuqi shed a few fake tears and then decisively closed the car hood. After the pitch blackness, waves of fear wrapped around me like vines. I started breathing heavily, trembling uncontrollably. I absolutely cannot fail here. If my emotions get the better of me, Ji Wanqing will definitely find fault. With a determined bite, I bit my tongue, and the metallic taste quickly spread through my mouth. I bit my already festering tongue over and over again, as if I couldn't feel the pain, just to keep myself calm. After an unknown amount of time, the car hood was finally lifted, and a beam of light pierced my eyelids. "What have you done to yourself, little sister?" Ji Wanqing stood with her arms crossed, looking down at me. Thrown to the ground by her bodyguards, she stepped on my hand and slowly ground her heel into it. "If you weren't somewhat useful to me right now, I wouldn't even be dealing with your trash." "Fix her arm, and put her in this outfit." At her command, the bodyguards tore off my clothes, ignoring my cries, and forced me into the outfit Ji Wanqing had worn when she attacked. "Behave." Ji Wanqing kicked me hard in the stomach. "It's an honor for you to work for me." She grabbed my collar and dragged me up the steps like I was trash. There were a total of 128 steps, and my legs were covered in bruises and scrapes. "All right, just stay here obediently. On the rooftop, I sat where Ji Wanqing pushed her classmate He Chen Chun. She flicked her voluminous wavy hair and laughed unrestrainedly. Commoners are such a nuisance. Even dead they cause trouble. If it weren't for you taking the blame, it would have been a bit troublesome. I looked up at her, a storm brewing in my eyes. Ji Wanqing, you'll regret this. She glanced at me indifferently, one hand grabbing my hair and slamming my head against the stone slab, while the other hand dialed 110. The moment the call connected, her voice took on a distinct sob. Hello, is this the police? Help, my sister has killed someone. In the police station, I sat on a bench in the lobby, my hair disheveled, my hands cuffed, just 10 minutes ago. As I was being escorted off the police car, a middle-aged woman threw herself at me. Why did you harm my daughter? What did she ever do to you to deserve such cruelty? He Chuanchuan's mother's eyes were bloodshot, her cries hoarse and desperate. The people around me were practically salivating for my flesh, their sharp nails scratching my face. I want you to pay with your blood, from start to finish. Ji Wanqing and the other two stood by coldly, fanning the flames with their snide remarks. Baozhu has always been like this since she was young. No matter what we say, she doesn't listen. Look, she just pinched her sister's arm and left a bruise. Su Qiuqi pulled up Ji Wanqing's sleeve, revealing a coin-sized bruise on her fair skin. How many wounds like this do I have on my body? You're lying. It was Ji Wanqing who pushed that girl down. I'm just your scapegoat. I cried out loudly. But Ji Wanqing acted as if she had suffered a great injustice. Sister, how can you say that about me? Mom and Dad and I witnessed you kill someone. That's an undeniable fact. Now no one will listen to my reasoned arguments. They only see me as a cruel murderer. Isn't that the stripper? How did she become a murderer? I told you she was crazy. A man recognized me, furtively pulled out his phone, and aimed the camera at me. The number of viewers in the live stream instantly surpassed 1 million, with dense barrages condemning me. Everyone, hurry up and check the trending topics. The Ji Group has issued a statement, saying they are cutting all ties with Ji Baozhu. Oh my god. All the people who were bullied by Ji Baozhu are coming forward to accuse her, and her parents admitted that she pushed He Chen Chun off the rooftop, saying they witnessed it with their own eyes. A murderer like her deserves to die. Exactly, Ji Baozhu should die. Frustrated netizens quickly dug up my past and mercilessly attacked me online. Even some nearby residents rushed over just to throw a rotten egg at me and spit on me. The exact same scenarios from my previous life are unfolding before my eyes one by one. Could it be that I truly cannot change my doomed fate? No, impossible. I absolutely won't let myself fall into that trap again. My fingertips dug fiercely into my already swollen palm. This was my last bet. I need to see the officer. In the interrogation room, several spotlights shone on me. 2 police officers sat across from me. Are you here to confess? I exhaled slowly and said firmly, I am not the killer. One of the officers, Officer Zhang, locked eyes with me. All the evidence points to you. If you admit your mistake sincerely, there's still a chance for a reduced sentence. Officer, is the key evidence currently in hand the fingerprint on He Chuanchuan's back? You still claim you're not the murderer. Yet how do you know about this internal evidence? The young officer sitting next to Officer Zhang couldn't stay seated any longer. He stood up and interrogated me. I ignored his aggressive tone and slowly removed my gloves without looking up. But Officer Zhang, my fingerprints disappeared completely 3 hours ago. How could I possibly be the murderer? Upon seeing my completely decayed palm, Officer Zhang sprang to his feet. What? The interrogation room's harsh, pale light glared down on my bloodied hands, making the scene even more gruesome. The young officer gasped, instinctively taking a half step back. Even the seasoned Officer Zhang's pupils constricted, his face turning grave. What? What is going on? How did you get that injury on your hand? When did this happen? I looked up, meeting his sharp gaze, my voice trembling with excitement as the tide was about to turn. At 5:30 this afternoon, at Central Square, I personally destroyed my fingerprints with sulfuric acid, and millions of viewers across the internet witnessed it. You can immediately retrieve the live stream records and videos taken by the crowd on the scene. The sulfuric acid completely destroyed the dermis of the skin, and my fingerprints will never be restored. The chain of logic was completely broken due to the invalidation of this crucial piece of evidence. The interrogation room fell into a deathly silence. The 2 officers exchanged glances, each seeing the storm in the other's eyes. This discovery could completely change the direction of the entire case. Quick, verify the exact alignment of the live broadcast timeline at Central Square with the incident timeline. Notify the tech department to re-evaluate the fingerprint evidence. Officer Zhang abruptly stood up, rapidly issuing orders to the young officer, then sat back down, looking at me with a complex expression. Ji Baozhu. If what you're saying is true, but that means, I took over his words, my tone almost inhumanly cold, it means my biological parents and that good-for-nothing sister of mine committed perjury, and the real murderer is hiding among them. Just then, the interrogation room door was knocked on. Another officer poked his head in, his expression odd. Captain Zhang, Ji Jiping, Su Qiuqi, and Ji Wanqing are still outside, very agitated, insisting that we convict quickly. They also said they would demand severe punishment on behalf of the victims' families. Captain Zhang's eyes hardened. Perfect timing. Please have them rest in separate interrogation rooms. No one is to leave without my permission. After saying that, he turned to me. His tone softened slightly but still carried a hint of scrutiny. Jibaozu, we will investigate immediately, however, until the truth is uncovered. You remain a key suspect and need to cooperate with our investigation. I nodded and raised my horribly battered hands. Officer, I request to be accompanied by a female officer throughout and for my physical condition to be documented and treated. Officer Zhang agreed quickly, and soon, a female officer arrived by my side. Meanwhile, the three members of the Ji family were led into separate rooms. Initially, Ji Jiping still carried himself like the CEO of a corporation, impatiently urging them on. Officer, the facts are clear, the evidence is solid. And that ungrateful daughter of mine has already confessed. What are we waiting for? She's brought shame to our entire Ji family. Su Qiuqi continued to play the role of the heartbroken mother, dabbing her tears with a handkerchief. It's our failure in raising her that led her to commit such heinous acts. We will do our best to compensate the victim's family. Ji Wanqing was most anxious, feeling a vague sense of unease, and forced a smile as she inquired, Officer, is my sister all right? Is she emotionally unstable and saying something absurd? Don't believe her, she's definitely trying to buy time to escape punishment. However, the police officers who received them all spoke in unison. The case is still under further review. Please be patient and cooperate with the investigation. Time ticked away, and even the slow-witted Su Qiuqi sensed that something was amiss. Officer, what exactly do you mean? We are witnesses, not suspects. You have no right to detain us. But the guard officer remained with the same response. Please be patient. The police work with extremely high efficiency. Live footage from Central Square, countless mobile phone recordings from netizens, and testimonies from eyewitnesses were quickly compiled. Precise timestamps were extracted. I poured the sulfuric acid at 5:30 p.m. and the forensic doctor initially estimated He Chuanchuan's time of death to be around 8:30 p.m. Meanwhile, my hands underwent a preliminary examination by the forensic doctor, confirming fresh severe chemical burns with severely damaged skin tissue, making it impossible to leave any valid fingerprints after the injury. The technical department conducted a secondary in-depth analysis of my fingerprints extracted from the scene. The feedback came quickly. The fingerprint was unusually clear and consistent, lacking the normal variations in pressure and natural distortion of skin texture, which matched the characteristics of being transferred through some kind of film or mold. All the pieces of evidence began to point toward a shocking conspiracy. Officer Zhang looked at the preliminary summary report, his face ashen. With years of experience and having seen countless evils, the case of someone so maliciously exploiting family ties and so skillfully framing their own daughter and sister still sent a chill down his spine. He gave a decisive order: focus on interrogating Ji Wanqing. Apply for a search warrant to search the Ji residence and Ji Wanqing's personal belongings, looking for materials and tools that could be used to make fingerprint molds. The interrogation room was now occupied by Ji Wanqing. Faced with the police's suddenly highly pressuring interrogation and the mounting incriminating evidence, her psychological defenses began to crumble. She had never imagined that her seemingly flawless scheme to frame someone would be exposed. Nor had she ever considered that I would destroy my fingerprints before that, rendering all her efforts futile. I don't know what you're talking about. The fingerprints belong to Ji Baozhu. My parents saw them. Ji Wanqing's voice was shrill, trying to mask her guilt with volume. Officer Zhang slammed the table hard and spoke sharply. Ji Wanqing, Ji Baozhu's fingerprints were permanently damaged before the incident. The fingerprints left at the scene were transferred from a mold. Aren't you going to tell the truth? Fabricating fake fingerprints to frame someone is a serious crime, plus, a charge of premeditated murder. Do you know the consequences? I didn't kill anyone, I didn't push her. Ji Wanqing's psychological defenses finally crumbled. She screamed and blurted it out. She lost her balance and fell on her own. As soon as the words left her mouth, she realized she had let something slip, her face turning as pale as paper. Oh. Didn't you say you saw Ji Baozhu push someone? How did it turn into her falling down by herself? Officer Zhang seized on the flaw and pressed relentlessly. Were you actually at the scene when the incident occurred? what happened between you and the deceased. Under immense pressure and psychological fear, Ji Wanqing's mental state completely collapsed. She began to confess incoherently, tears and snot streaming down her face. It was a dispute between me and He Chun Chun. She insulted me. And I pushed her in anger. I never intended to kill her. I don't know how she fell down. The fingerprints, they were prepared in advance. My mother helped me with them. She said that if anything happened, Ji Baozhu would take the blame for me. After all, she's a top student and will definitely succeed in the future. If I were ruined, all my parents' efforts would be wasted. Yes, my parents know. They taught me this, saying that as long as I insist it was Ji Baozhu, they would testify for me. Yes, 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 go arrest them. They taught me all this. I'm innocent. You can't arrest me. The voice recorder clearly captured every word. The police outside looked at each other in disbelief, feeling a wave of disgust and anger. Almost simultaneously, a major discovery was made during the search of the Ji household. Tools Ji Wanqing used to forge fingerprints but hadn't yet disposed of, chat logs of Su Qiuqi and Ji Jiping plotting to frame me, and the black PR articles Ji Jiping ordered the company to release. When these pieces of evidence were presented separately to Ji Jiping and Su Qiuqi, their reactions were surprisingly identical. First, they flatly denied it, then they shifted the blame onto each other, and finally, under the irrefutable evidence and the police's strong psychological pressure, they both collapsed to the ground. Ji Jiping tried to protect the company and family reputation by placing all the blame on Su Qiuqi. It's all that bitch is doing. I had no knowledge of it. I was just a doting father, deceived by her. Su Qiuqi broke down in tears, incoherently expressing his partiality for Ji Wanqing and his disdain for me. Wanqing lost her birth parents at a young age. How pitiful. Ji Baozhu has everything. So what's wrong with letting her younger sister have her way? Who knew something like this would happen? How could I just stand by and watch Wanqing's life be ruined like this? Every one of their excuses was captured on camera, leaving a hideous record. Meanwhile, the internet was already in the midst of a storm. At first, the entire internet was condemning me. However, as time went on, the complete videos of the acid wash incident, posted by on-site witnesses with precise timestamps, began to go viral. More and more netizens started to question. The timeline doesn't add up. She destroyed the fingerprints before the incident occurred. This hand is too badly injured to leave any fingerprints. Deeply unsettling. Could it be a case of taking the fall? The Ji family's reaction is way too fast, isn't it? Is this how they treat their own daughter? It seems more like they're dealing with an enemy. That adopted daughter, Ji Wanqing, is from Jing University. There were videos of her bullying people on the school forum before, but they were all suppressed by money power. The tide of public opinion began to subtly shift when scattered internal police information leaked, especially the footage of Ji Wanqing's breakdown and her parents accusing each other, which mysteriously appeared online. The entire internet was thrown into uproar. Hashtag Ji Baozhu's wrongful case hashtag Ji Wanqing's murder hashtag vicious parents hashtag fingerprint fraud hashtag and other hashtags instantly exploded on the trending list. Netizens who had been the most vocal in their criticism felt they had been manipulated, and their anger doubled, surging like a tsunami towards the Ji group and the Ji family, a family of beasts, treating their own daughter like this. Ji Wanqing, come out and pay for your life. Ji Corporation, a heartless company, should just go bankrupt. Apologize to Ji Baozhu. Ji's group's stock price plummeted at the opening. Partners. The dual blows of public opinion and the economy made it teeter on the brink in an instant. As I was carefully escorted out of the interrogation room by a female police officer, preparing to be sent to the hospital for treatment of my hands, I happened to bump into Ji Jiping, Su Qiuqi, and Ji Wanqing being escorted out separately in the police station lobby. Ji Wanqing had completely lost her mind, screaming at me and lunging towards me, only to be held back by the female police officer. Demon. You are a demon. You schemed against me. You will die a horrible death. I walked over and gently patted her face, just as she used to do to me. But now, you're the only one who's going to die. Su Qiuqi saw me as if I were a savior and knelt at my feet. Baozhu, please save your sister. She's already suffered enough, losing her parents at a young age, and now she's facing prison. Go beg He Chun Chun's parents. Kneel, kowtow. Even if they ask you to die, you must do it. Please, save Wanqing. Won't you? The onlookers were so enraged by her shameless words that they wanted to slap her, but I just smiled faintly. My kind-hearted dear mother, do you really enjoy raising someone else's daughter? Ji Wanqing, haha, is Ji Jiping's daughter with his mistress. This secret, I discovered it in my spirit form after my death. Ji Jiping panicked at the news. Wanqing is not my illegitimate daughter. Don't listen to this wretch's nonsense. Ji Wanqing knew her death was near. And she cared about nothing anymore. Yes, I am my father's illegitimate daughter. You stupid woman raised me for 20 years in place of my mother, and you constantly targeted your own biological daughter. How incredibly foolish. Su Qiuqi let out a scream and lunged at Ji Jiping, rolling into a fight, all while grabbing Ji Wanqing's hair and slamming her head into the floor. After they finished, I whispered into the ears of Ji Wanqing and the other two. Do you know why I destroyed my fingerprints in advance? Because I am a vengeful ghost reborn with the hatred of 2 lifetimes, here specifically to claim your 3 worthless lives. Ji Jiping suddenly looked up, his eyes filled with terror as if seeing his daughter for the first time. Su Qiuqi, on the other hand, seemed to have lost all strength, collapsing to the ground and sobbing uncontrollably. Ji Wanqing continued to curse hysterically. I didn't spare them a single glance. Walking steadily toward the police station exit under the escort of a female officer, outside, reporters had flocked in, crowding the entrance, their cameras flashing like daylight. This time, however, the cameras were not aimed at a murderer or a crazy woman, but at a victim who had been unjustly framed and had taken a decisive step to clear her name. The morning sun pierced through the clouds, shining on my pale but composed face. My revenge has only just begun. The law will judge their crimes, and the trials of public opinion and fate will not be absent either. Ji Wanqing was sentenced to a heavy penalty for multiple offenses including intentional injury, fabrication and use of false evidence, and malicious prosecution. Ji Jiping and Su Qiuqi were also imprisoned for crimes including perjury, collusion, assisting in the destruction and fabrication of evidence, and malicious prosecution. Moreover, Ji Jiping faces additional charges of commercial fraud and market manipulation. The Ji Group declared bankruptcy and became history. Although my methods were extreme, they were justified, and no serious public harm was caused. With widespread public sympathy, I received a lighter punishment, which is insignificant compared to the crimes of the 3 members of the Ji family. With my own hands and a wild dance, I completely tore apart the intricate web they had so carefully woven. Embracing a new life of my own, in their past lives, they basked in prosperity, but in this life, they rot in prison. It seems the wheel of fortune turns, and karma never fails to deliver its due. In the time to come, I will live as brilliantly as my name Baozhu suggests, never again overshadowed by gloom. The end. The first story ends here. But don't go away, the next one is even more exciting. When Fu Wenbin suggested bringing his mother to take care of her at home, I readily agreed. Whoever brings her here will take care of her. Don't even think about making me the housewife, not a chance. In my previous life, he brought his mother to our home, asked me to quit my job, and made me take care of her and the children. His mother couldn't stand me resting at night. As soon as I lay down, she would find ways to make me get up and serve her. She would either demand water or knead the chamber pot, leaving me unable to sleep at night and much older than my peers. Life got a bit better later, and we moved to the city, but his colleagues gossiped that I wasn't good enough for him, and even my son and younger daughter. They also despised me for being unworthy, making them lose face. When I was riddled with illness, they sent me to a poorly maintained nursing home, coldly watching me wither away. Only my daughter, who had married far away, took me in and cared for me with great devotion. She's your mother who gave birth to and raised you. If you want to take her in and care for her, I certainly have no objections, I said to him while sewing. Fu Wenbin's eyes flickered with a hint of doubt. I'm bringing mom over. You really have no objections? No objections. Just hurry up and bring her. I'm not stopping you, I said, finishing sewing the clothes. Pushing Fu Wenbin aside, and putting away the sewing kit, I couldn't be bothered to waste words with him. What's the point? I won't be taking care of her anyway, so it's none of my business. That very evening, Fu Wenbin brought his mother over. Seeing this old hag again made me grind my teeth in anger, and I turned to head into the kitchen. Huifeng, make some porridge tonight and chop some minced meat. The mother-in-law's voice came from the living room, immediately ordering as soon as she walked in. I won't do it. I won't do it. Let your good son do it. Sure, let Wenbin go buy some meat. I'm busy here. Can't you just go yourself? Wenbin just got off work and should rest. The mother-in-law's voice echoed again, with a hint of dissatisfaction. Mom, I just got off work too. I knew you were coming, so I rushed home to tidy up the house right after work and didn't have time to buy meat and vegetables. A surge of anger rose within me. Let's have meat another day, then, to save you an extra trip. My mother-in-law's voice carried a hint of concession, but more so displeasure. Let your precious son go buy it, then, I won't eat it. So protective of him, huh? Should I carry him around in my arms too? I rolled my eyes so hard in my mind. In the kitchen, I washed the rice, put it in the pot, added a lot of water, turned on the fire, and let the rice slowly cook in the pot. It was the same last time. Every dinner, we had porridge. And every night when he got up, he called me to serve him. Let's see if I'll bother with you tonight, I muttered to myself, my eyes glinting with mischief. Tonight, I'll make your precious son do all the work. The aroma of congee gradually filled the kitchen, and I stir-fried 2 dishes of snake gourd, simple yet flavorful. As the kids came home from school, Mom, wash my backpack. Fu Wei tossed his backpack into my arms as soon as he got home, his voice carrying a hint of command. I grabbed the backpack and threw it at his face. Are your hands broken? Can't you wash it yourself? Can't you see I'm busy? I looked down at him. This, little ingrate, then you can wash it after you're done. I need to wear it tomorrow. If you don't wash it for me, I won't go to school tomorrow. Fu Wei's voice carried a hint of threat, with a trace of menace. Do whatever you want. It's none of my business. It's not like I'm the one studying. I carried the cooked porridge to the living room. My anger growing, increasingly intense. In this big family, only my eldest daughter Cindy helps me with the bowls and dishes, while the 2 younger ones just sit and wait to be served. Dinner begins. I hold a bowl, scoop some for Cindy, put down the porridge ladle, and start eating. My mother-in-law, Fu Wenbin, and these 2 ungrateful brats are still waiting for me to serve them. They used to expect me to serve them one by one after cooking, but now they can eat or not. Mom, why do you just? It used to be like this. Cooking wasn't enough. I had to serve them one by one. Now, they can eat or not. Mom, why do you just? Are you going to serve the porridge for your older sister? Fu Jiai, the little ingrate, said unhappily. Don't you have hands? You're such a grown-up, yet you can't even serve porridge. I glanced at her. If you don't serve me, I won't eat. With that, Fu Jiai pushed her bowl and chopsticks away, waiting for me to coax her. Don't eat then, Cindy, eat more. I couldn't be bothered with her and added 2 more slices of snake gourd to Cindy's bowl. Fu Wenbin still expects me to take care of his mother, so he doesn't dare say anything to me now. He picks up the spoon and serves his mother-in-law some porridge. Why is this porridge so watery? The silence was broken by my mother-in-law's voice, her eyes clearly showing her dissatisfaction. I added too much water. I'll be more careful next time. My voice carried a hint of coldness. What kind of attitude is that? My mother-in-law's voice rose sharply, her small, beady eyes fixed on me. I took a deep breath. What's my attitude? I already said next time I'll make it thicker. Can't you hear me? If you don't like how I cook, next time let Fu Wenbin do it. The atmosphere in the living room suddenly became tense, and everyone stopped what they were doing, their eyes all focused on me. Above, Fu Wenbin's eyes showed a hint of surprise. He didn't expect the usually gentle me to suddenly explode. Hui Feng, what's wrong with you today? What's going on? Fu Wenbin's voice carried a hint of anger. I took a bite of the snake gourd and said coldly, what do you mean? What's going on? Once the food is ready, just eat. Why all these questions? I ate on my own, too lazy to deal with these heartless people. The dinner proceeded in an awkward atmosphere. After finishing my meal, I put down my chopsticks. Took Xianyi away to check her homework, while Fu Wenbin and his mother were still eating slowly. After they finished, they put away the dishes. The chopsticks are on the table, waiting for me to clean up. It was late at night. I lay in bed, and Fu Wenbin was already asleep. Soon, my mother-in-law's voice came. Hui Feng, help me to the bathroom quickly. Bathroom. Hui Feng, bring me some water. I'm thirsty. Hui Feng, bring me the chamber pot. Cough, cough, cough. Hui Feng, make me a bowl of noodles. I'm hungry. I turned over and went back to sleep, pretending not to hear, always wanting to eat and use the bathroom. How disgusting. Even when my mother-in-law woke Fu Bin, I didn't move. Fu Bin was woken up by her, saw me sleeping soundly, and reached out. Push me. Hui Feng, get up, Mom's calling you. I pulled the blanket over my head, softly snoring, continuing to pretend to sleep. Fu Wenbin couldn't wake me, so he had to help his mother to the bathroom himself. The next morning, I woke up full of energy. While Fu Wenbin was still snoring beside me, I got out of bed, stepping over him, and went to Xianyi's room to wake her up. We tidied up and went out for breakfast. After eating the hot wontons, Xianyi and I exchanged a smile. Mom, why didn't you bring my brother and sister along? Xianyi asked. I replied, never mind them. From now on, Mom will always take you out for breakfast, and I'll pick you up after school in the evening. We'll have dinner together before going home. What will my brother and sister eat when they go home in the evening? Xianyi asked, blinking her big eyes at me. Let your dad cook for them, just like how your mom used to do. Cooking after work when she got home, that's true. This way Mom won't have to work so hard. After finishing the wontons, Cindy went to school, and I went to the commune broadcasting station. I'm off to work. I am a broadcaster for the commune, earning 50 yuan a month. In my previous life, because I had to take care of my mother-in-law, Fu Wenbin made me quit this job, a stable salary, content to stay at home as a housewife. I must have been out of my mind to agree to that. I could have lived a good life on my own. And no one is ever going to drag me down again. I walked into the radio station and started working. At home, my mother-in-law was waiting for me to bring her breakfast and take care of her needs. She had been calling for me early in the morning, but no one responded. That woke up Wenbin, who thought I was making breakfast when he found me missing early in the morning. He lay down and went back to sleep. Before long, the older one was late for work, and the two younger ones were late for school. Fu Wenbin woke up in a hurry and rushed to work, completely ignoring his mother-in-law. Although she had twisted her back, she could still move, just slowly. In my previous life, with my careful care, she recovered soon. She had tasted the sweetness of being taken care of and, even after her back got better, pretended it wasn't, always making me take care of her. Now that I no longer care for her, and Fu Wenbin has gone to work, she is left alone at home. She can't keep up the act anymore and has to take care of herself for basic needs. Now that I no longer care for her, and Fu Wenbin has gone to work, she is left alone at home. She can't keep up the act anymore and has to take care of herself for basic needs. That evening, Cindy had duty and got out of school late. After work, I picked her up and we went to a noodle place a bit farther from home for dinner. I ordered for Cindy. We ordered a chicken leg noodle soup and a spare rib noodle soup for ourselves. After we were full and satisfied, we leisurely walked home and I briefed Cindy along the way, let them know about this. Cindy and I dawdled all the way home, and by the time we arrived, it was already past 8 o'clock. As soon as we stepped through the door, my mother-in-law's angry shout rang out, "Qin, Huifeng, where on earth have you been? You're back so late, Mom. I work at the commune radio station. You're getting forgetful, can't you remember that?" I rolled my eyes. "No matter where you work, you still have to cook. Come back earlier next time, the whole family is waiting for you." The voice was filled with reproach and dissatisfaction. "I've been working overtime lately, so don't wait for me. You guys eat and drink as you please, thinking I'll cook for you when I get home, right?" Fu Wenbin couldn't hold it in anymore, his voice carrying a tone of command and dissatisfaction. "If you, as the mother, don't cook, who will? Starting tomorrow, you're not allowed to work overtime. Get home right after work and start cooking. Are you dead or what? You came back so early, can't you cook? Are you paralyzed or disabled? Do I have to do it myself?" My patience finally ran out, and I was too lazy to argue with him. I went straight to the kitchen, started boiling water, and prepared the hot water for mine and Cindy's evening bath. Hot water. Fu Wenbin had no choice, after all. He was a big and couldn't let his own mother go hungry. In the end, he had to cook some porridge himself. The pickles, with my mother-in-law grumbling, were eaten reluctantly. That evening, Fu Wenbin lay in bed and said to me, "Huifeng, didn't you agree to let Mom come and stay? What kind of tantrum are you throwing now?" His words carried a tone of probing. "Who's throwing a tantrum with you? If your mom wants to stay, she can stay. I have no objections." My voice was calm. "What do you mean you're not cooking? You ignored Mom when she called you to help her to the bathroom at night. Isn't that just because you're unhappy that Mom is staying here?" Fu Wenbin's voice raised a few notches, tinged with anger. I let out a cold laugh. "Are you crazy? I told you I have to work overtime. Are your ears blown off by a cannon? Can't you hear me? How am I supposed to cook when I'm working overtime? Can I be in two places at once?" Mom was yelling to go to the bathroom. "Are you dead? Can't you help her yourself? Do you have to wait for me? Isn't it just because I'm not doing the work, and all the work falls on him, and he can't take it anymore?" "Whatever." Fu Wenbin remained silent for a moment, trying to calm himself down. "Huifeng, why don't you quit your job? That way, you can take care of Mom at night, and sleep in during the day, and someone else can cook the meals." His voice carried a hint of pleading, as if this was a solution to all their problems. "To all their problems, 35 yuan a month for you, 50 for me. You want me to quit? Are you out of your mind? If I quit, how will the whole family survive? The kids might as well stop going to school and just play in the mud." Fu Wenbin lied to me, saying he only made 35 yuan a month. In reality, as a doctor, he earned 60 yuan a month, which was more than me. Fu Wenbin knew I had misunderstood his income. His salary was actually higher than what I had said. But he lacked the courage to admit it. He knew, Fu Wenbin knew I had misunderstood his income. His salary was actually higher than what I had said, but he lacked the courage to admit it. He knew, the extra money was all used to support his mother-in-law's younger son, which was his duty as a filial son. Now, he felt he had dug his own grave and didn't know how to explain. I chose to feign ignorance. "Let me resign." Not a chance, my voice was firm and resolute. Fu Wenbin was so anxious he almost wanted to tell me his real salary, but I didn't want to hear it. I turned around and went to sleep, letting him mumble to himself while I pretended not to notice. Can't hear. The room fell silent again, with only Fu Wenbin's sigh echoing in the air. The night grew deeper, and just as I was dozing off, my mother-in-law started calling out to go to the bathroom again, knowing full well she has frequent bowel movements. She insisted on drinking porridge at night. I ignored her. But in the end, Fu Wenbin was so disturbed that he couldn't sleep and had to tend to her himself. As soon as my mother-in-law saw it was her beloved son again, she quickly pushed Fu Wenbin back and sent me to serve her, mumbling under her breath that it should be me, her daughter-in-law, who should serve her. If you want me to serve you, then you can wait. And so I slept until dawn, got up, washed, and took Xiane out for breakfast. This routine went on for 2 months, during which I became radiant and full of vitality. While Fu Wenbin looked haggard and ghostly, my mother-in-law doesn't care about Fu Wenbin at all. Her favorite is his younger brother Fu Wenchao, who takes advantage of us to subsidize himself. His younger brother, who hurt his back taking care of his child, came to recuperate here. Despite being able to get up and use the bathroom on his own, he still insists on making Fu Wenbin help him every night. When we're not home, he's full of energy, frying eggs for himself. When Fu Wenbin came home to get something, he caught his mother frying eggs. Mom, you can get up on your own, yet you make me help you every night, taking care of you going to the bathroom. Are you deliberately tormenting me? Fu Wenbin has been coming home early these days to cook dinner and take care of his mother-in-law at night. His resentment is heavier than Sadako's. Seeing her act of pretending to be sick exposed, the mother-in-law immediately pretended to faint. As a doctor, how could Fu Wenbin not know she was faking it? A bucket of cold water was thrown over, startling the mother-in-law, who then got up and scolded Fu Wenbin for being unfilial. In my previous life, I took care of my mother-in-law. And he stood on the moral high ground, having played the role of a devoted son all his life. He couldn't keep up the act after only 2 months of taking care of her. After her fake illness was exposed, Fu Wenbin was upset with her for a long time. She still relied on the 25 yuan Fu Wenbin gave her every month, so she dared not cause trouble anymore and took on the household chores. Fu Wenbin no longer had to cook or help his mother-in-law get up at night after work, and gradually, he stopped being angry with her. They made up and were once again like a loving mother and son. On this day off, Fu Wenbin went to pick up his father-in-law to come home. My mother-in-law and I prepared lunch at home. These days, my mother-in-law, realizing she couldn't control me, has been more subdued. She doesn't cause trouble, so I can't be bothered to argue with her. Soon, Fu Wenbin brought his father-in-law over, along with the children of his younger sister Fu Wenxiu, Zhao Lili, and Zhao Hui. These 2 brats didn't even greet anyone when they came in, so I couldn't be bothered to pay attention to them. Not a good person in my past life either. After my sister-in-law divorced, she left her child with me and Fu Wenbin to raise. We raised the child, but in the end, they turned out to be ungrateful. Both of them had everything my own children had. After we supported them, they actually complained that we didn't give enough and even demanded money from us to buy a house. Now, just looking at them makes me feel disgusted. After serving the meal and everyone being full, my father-in-law's true colors started to show. Wenbin, Lily and Huizi, you'll be staying here from now on, which will make it convenient for school and such. Fu Wenbin stammered, and I knew he didn't want to. In my previous life, it was the same. He didn't want to, yet he insisted on making me the bad guy. Now, if you want to take care of them, go ahead. But don't even think about using my salary to support them. Seeing that I didn't respond, Fu Wenbin could only muster the courage to say, Dad, I need to discuss this with Huifeng. What are you discussing? A man is the pillar of the family. Can't you, a big man, make the decision? The father-in-law grinned with his big yellow teeth, spouting this nonsense. Seeing that I still didn't step forward to refuse, Fu Wenbin could only agree to take care of these 2 nephews. In the afternoon, Fu Wenbin sent his parents-in-law back to his younger brother's place. His mother-in-law's back injury had healed, and she didn't want to stay here to do housework, so she quickly returned to her younger brothers. My son went to work as a Filipino maid. I know what she's scheming. Doesn't she think that by leaving, I'll take over the household chores and raise her youngest daughter's child? Dream on. Whoever agreed to it can take care of it. After work, Fu Wenbin thought that since his mom wasn't around, I'd do all the work like before. But as soon as he got home, he was completely stunned. The house was a complete mess, like a pigsty, with clothes and shoes flying everywhere. His 2 nephews, Fu Wei and Fu Jiayu, were in the living room, starving and waiting. As soon as he got back, They were so hungry they wanted to tear his clothes off and eat them. Seeing this, he had no choice but to cook for these ingrates. Cindy and I still went out to eat and then took a leisurely walk home. By the time we got home, it was already past 8. Fu Wenbin was sitting in the living room waiting for me, with a table full of leftovers and a mess. I clean. Qin Huifeng, what's wrong with you? You come home so late every day. How did you become like this? You don't care about the family at all. I have to work overtime. I've told you how many times. If I don't make money, with your 35 yuan salary, can the whole family survive on the northwest wind? I'm not afraid of him causing a scene at the broadcasting station. The station chief is my dad's childhood friend. If he dares to go, he'll be thrown out immediately. Fu Wenbin was miserable, filled with deep regret. If he had known it would come to this, he wouldn't have hidden the fact that his salary was 60 yuan from me. Now he didn't dare to say anything, fearing I would demand that money. Huifeng, can't you skip overtime? He said helplessly, of course not. I'm a good comrade. How could I slack off? I said, staring at him. Chairman Mao said, if you want to have enough clothes and food, you have to do it yourself. You promised to take care of your nephews, so you have to do it yourself. Don't be generous with other people's efforts and push the responsibility onto others. After saying that, I didn't listen to his response. Fu Wei and Fu Jiai also came to accuse me of neglecting the family, cursing and saying they don't recognize me as their mother. I couldn't be bothered with these two ingrates, and turned around to go to Cindy's room to help her with her homework. During this period, Fu Wenbin would leave work early every day to cook and do laundry for Zhao Lili, Zhao Hui, and the two ungrateful ones. They were all a bunch of ingrates. Yanlong's clothes looked like they had been rolled around in a pigsty. Zhao Hui's clothes, in particular, were caked with mud mixed with some dog poop, stinking to high heaven. The scent of Fu Wenbin is indelible. No matter how much he washes, the clothes, washed and dried, were a dull yellow and reeked of dog poop. Zhao Hui wore them to school, where he was teased by his classmates all day long. He came back furious and smeared dog shit all over Fu Wenbin's clothes. Fu Wenbin returned home to find his entire wardrobe covered in dog shit. Enraged, he beat Zhao Hui up and sent him and Zhao back to their in-laws' place that very night. Lily back to their in-laws' home. In my previous life, when I took care of Zhao Hui and Zhao Lili, those two ingrates made all sorts of demands: new clothes, soft rice, and tender meat, big and all. They even call me to stand guard when they need to use the bathroom in the middle of the night, if I don't give in to them. They go around saying I abuse them. Fu Wenbin is there, being sarcastic. The kids, they just like you. It really got to me. But now seeing him like this, it's so satisfying. The next day, my sister-in-law Fu Wenxiu came storming over to settle accounts with me. Qin Huifeng, why did you send my kids back to my parents? My brother already agreed to take care of them. What are you meddling for? She stormed out of the kitchen, dragging me with her. Today I'm off. Just planning to make some chicken soup noodles, and this lunatic shows up. Are you blind? It was your brother Fu Wenbin who took your kid home yesterday. What does that have to do with me? Don't pin everything good or bad on me. I glanced at her, not wanting to engage, and took out the chicken from the cabinet to prepare the soup. Fu Wenxiu stared at me in disbelief. If it weren't for you not taking care of the kids, could my brother have sent them back? What you're saying is, my brother was the one who agreed to take care of the kids, not me. Why are you looking for me? Go find your brother. I pushed her away, ready to boil water. I don't care. You go get the kids right now and take good care of them from now on, and I'll forgive you. Fu Wenxiu shamelessly. As soon as I said that, I was furious. I didn't even care about my chicken soup anymore. I slapped her across the face, leaving her dazed. Did I give you the right to forgive me? Who do you think you are to demand my forgiveness? Get lost. Fu Wenxiu was stunned after I slapped her. She was the type to bully the weak and fear the strong. In her previous life, she was bullied by her colleagues at the cotton mill. It was me who stood up for her. Outside, I'm all meek and mild, but at home, I throw my weight around. Seeing my fierce expression, Fu Wenxiu didn't dare to cause trouble and covered her face. Running off in a flash, she was gone. That evening, Fu Wenbin came home, savoring the chicken soup I had cooked, looking thoroughly satisfied. I told him about what happened with Fu Wenxiu during the day. You'd better hurry up and bring your two nephews back home, so your sister doesn't come over here losing her mind again. He remained silent for a long time after hearing this, then let out a deep sigh. These days, whenever he comes back, I've already tidied up the house and prepared the meals. He doesn't want to go back to the chaotic days of the past, and absolutely refuses to bring them back. The in-laws are getting desperate as Fu Wenbin hasn't gone to pick up Zhao Hui and Zhao Lili. Zhao Hui and Zhao Lili have been staying at their place for quite some time now. Every day they stay is one less day of food. I can't wait for these two grandsons to leave. They couldn't hold out for long and came to find us with Fu Wenxiu and those two ingrates. I knew they would come, and these days I've resumed my overtime work mode. By the time I got home, my in-laws, Fu Wenxiu and Fu Wenbin, were all getting impatient. You, a woman, coming home this late every day, it's just not proper, my mother-in-law said, giving me a sidelong glance with her beady eyes. I'm not going to work. Are you going to support me? Have you ever given a single cent to Xiane, Xiaowei, and Jia as they grew up? Either give me money to stay home or stop lecturing me. What a bad omen. You started yelling as soon as I got home. All right. We came today to ask if Wenxiu and the two kids can move in with you. With Wenxiu taking care of you, it will also ease the burden on you too, the father-in-law said shamelessly. It will ease the burden on you too. Fu Wenbin is pretending to be dead and not saying a word, but I know he agrees to his sister moving in. Once Fu Wenxiu moves in, he won't have to do housework or take care of the kids anymore. He can be a hands-off boss. So why not? He won't have to do housework or take care of the kids anymore. He can be a hands-off boss. So why not? I don't agree. There's not enough space in the house. There are only 3 rooms, one for Wenbin and me, one for Cindy and Jiai, and one for Xiaowei. There are no extra rooms. No way she's moving in. What's so hard about it? You and Wenxiu share a room. Xiaowei and Huizi share one. Lily, Cindy, and Jiai share one. And Wenbin sleeps in the living room. Problem solved. The mother-in-law said with a big grin, chuckling happily. 3 rooms for 8 people. It's so cramped it's like a pigsty. Is this even a place for humans? I said through gritted teeth, trying to hold back my anger. You two have it good. Can't you help your sister? Do we really have to be so calculating as a family? The father-in-law said, clenching his teeth. Speak. Wenqiu's house is spacious, with 4 rooms in total. Why don't you arrange for Wenxiu to stay at Wenqiu's place? They only have 4 people living there, so there's plenty of room. My heart filled with disdain. It sounds better than a song. But if you ask your beloved youngest son to make a little sacrifice, you'd probably tear the roof off. What a pretentious show. Your mom and I will have to stay at Wenqiu's place too. There won't be enough room. My father-in-law persisted in his excuse. The house isn't occupied yet, is it? Let Wenxiu stay there with the kids for now, Dad. Didn't you say family shouldn't be so particular about these things? Wenxiu is willing, she won't mind, so go ahead and take Wenxiu to stay. My patience was wearing thin, and I didn't want to keep arguing with them. You, we Fu family cannot afford a daughter-in-law like you who is so disrespectful. Wenbin, divorce her quickly. The mother-in-law clutched her chest. Oh, she's faking it again. After serving her for so long in my previous life, I can tell at a glance if she's really sick or not. Fu Wenbin suddenly got all filial and shouted at me. That's enough, Qin Huifeng. Our whole family is begging you. Are you ever going to stop? Seeing him like this, I couldn't hold back anymore. I stood up, flipped the table, and shouted at him. This is the house the broadcasting station assigned to me. And it has nothing to do with, you Fu family has no connection to me whatsoever. Get out of here, all of you, including you, Fu Wenbin, get as far away as possible. I can shout louder than Fu Wenbin just now. Isn't it just about who has the louder voice? I've got plenty of that. Get out, all of you out. I grabbed a big broom and chased them all out, then slammed the door shut, letting Fu Wenbin pound on the door outside. I pretended not to hear anything. My mother-in-law was throwing a tantrum outside the door, and all the neighbors came out to watch the spectacle, but no one pointed fingers at me. Over the years, the neighbors have seen how the Fu family has been draining me dry. The neighbors know better than anyone how the Fu family has been exploiting me. In the end, it was Fu Wenbin who was embarrassed and dragged his mother away. Fu Wei and Fu Jiai, those 2 little ingrates, still wanted to open the door, so I threw them out as well. I shouted outside the door, divorce, these 2 kids are yours, and Xiane is mine. Tomorrow, we'll go file for divorce. After that, I went back to the house with Cindy, ignoring the family's loud ruckus outside the door. I had already decided to divorce, and now that things have escalated, it's better, saving me from seeing their whole family every day, which makes me sick. In the morning, I went to work as usual, and during my lunch break, my mother-in-law and her whole family showed up at my workplace. At the entrance of the commune broadcasting station, my mother-in-law stood with her hands on her hips, spitting and shouting that I was unfilial, bullying the elderly, and all sorts of dirty and vile accusations were thrown at me. If it weren't for someone blocking the door, she would have rushed in to tear me apart. I wasn't about to back down either, so I grabbed a water glass from the table and threw it in her face. You think you can take advantage of me, but think again, who's taking advantage of you? As the eldest sister-in-law, it's only natural for you to help Wenxiu. My mother-in-law's finger jabbed toward my face, and I quickly dodged. Are you dead as a mother? Do you want me to be her mother? How shameless, a family of rotten hearts and lungs. Get lost. They came at just the right time, worried about how to make this situation escalate. Go ahead, make it as big as possible. The bigger it gets, the sooner we'll be apart. Everyone, come and judge. I live in my brother's house. And he agreed, but my sister-in-law disagreed and threw us out in the middle of the night. Me, my mom, and 2 poor kids. It's so unjust. Fu Wenxiu, the sister-in-law, threw herself on the ground, covered in tears and snot. Yet they don't seem to care about the mess. Zhao Lili and Zhao Hui were also cursing me, accusing me of bullying their mother, and spitting at me. No one around showed any sympathy for them. In these times, every household has such small homes that they can barely accommodate themselves. And now the sister-in-law's family wants to move in. Just hearing about it makes me furious. You have the audacity to deny being shameless. The house was clearly assigned to me by the radio station. What does it have to do with your Fu family? And you even dare to claim it? My brother's house is a real case of gilding the lily. I spit on it, I said, knowing most of the people around me, my colleagues, knew I wasn't lying. Open. Fan gave her mother-in-law and sister-in-law a look of disdain. I can't be bothered to argue with them here. I pulled out the station chief's bike and rode off toward Fu Wenbin's workplace, not looking for trouble. What? Then go make a scene at your son's workplace. I was riding my bike ahead, while my mother-in-law, sister-in-law, and those 2 ungrateful brats ran behind, trying to stop me from going. Make a scene at Fu Wenbin's workplace. I stood up and pedaled, and soon enough, I arrived at the hospital where Fu Wenbin works. My mother-in-law and sister-in-law hadn't arrived yet. I went in just in time to see. I saw Fu Wenbin having lunch and decided to skip him and go straight to his supervisor. As soon as I saw his supervisor, I started wailing and making a scene. Return Fu Wenbin's salary to him. Boss, our whole family relies on Wenbin's 60 yuan salary to survive. You can't deduct his wages. You can't take it away. 25, but I gave him 35. We can barely make ends meet as it is, and my sister-in-law relies on this money to rent a place to live. I sobbed, desperately shouting at the top of her lungs. She clung tightly to the leader's hem. Fu Wenbin rushed over upon hearing the commotion, and it left him drenched in cold sweat. Qin Huifeng, what are you going crazy about? When did I ever say the boss deducted my salary? Stop spreading nonsense here and go back right now. Fu Wenbin's veins were bulging. He suddenly sprang up and grabbed me, intent on leaving. I yanked my hand away forcefully. Your mom said it, and you still won't admit it. She said you give all your 60 yuan salary to your boss every month. That's how you get promoted. The leader was immediately furious. Fu Wenbin, if you can't handle your family matters, you'll be suspended first. Go explain to your family properly where your salary has gone. Don't let the entire hospital think I, Wang Shui, am a thief who steals your wages. Your wages. The hospital staff was stunned, and the finance department was present. She knew Fu Wenbin's salary inside out and quickly spoke up for Wang Shui. Fu, doctor, that's not fair. You signed for your monthly salary yourself. So who's withholding your pay? You're talking nonsense. You can eat whatever you want, but you can't just say anything you like. Fu Wenbin tried to explain, but Wang Shui wasn't having any of it. He called the security guards, who promptly escorted Fu out. By the time the mother-in-law and sister-in-law arrived, it was already too late. Upon arrival, he saw Fu Wenbin being forcibly dragged out by hospital security and thrown to the ground. Fu Wenbin, seeing his mother-in-law and sister-in-law, was furious. Mom, I give you 25 yuan every month. Why did you lie to Huifeng and say it was taken by the leader? Why did you deceive Huifeng by saying it was taken by the leader? Do you know how much trouble you've caused me? I've been suspended from the hospital. Fu Wenbin's eyes were bloodshot, and his veins were bulging. His eyes were bloodshot, and his veins were bulging. Seeing him like that, I quietly hopped on my bike and took off, leaving them cursing at the hospital entrance. My mother-in-law still wanted to go in and plead for Fu Wenbin, but the hospital security wouldn't let her in at all. Fu Wenbin had no choice but to take his mother and sister-in-law home. Tail between their legs, Fu Wenbin, his mother, and his sister-in-law also planned to come to the house the radio station had assigned me to settle accounts. As soon as they got home, the 3 of them were dumbfounded. Everything from the 2 rooms was moved out, all belonging to Fu Wenbin, Fu Wei, and Fu Jiai. Early this morning, I announced my intention to divorce at the radio station. This house was allocated to me by the radio station, originally for a family of 5, with 3 rooms. One of the rooms included a living room. Now that the unit knows I'm getting a divorce, they immediately reclaimed the house. There are plenty of people in the unit without housing. As soon as they heard about my divorce, They quickly decided who would move in, and they didn't even show up for work today, already occupying the house. This time, Fu Wenbin can't even find a place to move back to. The station master reserved a large room with a living room for me, much bigger than the east and west rooms combined. It's more than enough for Cindy and me to share. Fu Wenbin still wanted to kick people out, but it's not that easy to make someone leave once they've moved in. They just threw his wife and kids out, locked the courtyard gate, and the mother-in-law and sister-in-law were still howling outside. The person living in the east room just threw a bucket of slop at them. The three of them were soaked through, and Fu Wenbin could only grab his luggage and follow his mother-in-law back, staying at her place for the time being. The Fu family saw that I was unyielding, unable to gain any advantage from me, and daily urged Fu Wenbin to sign the divorce papers and end our marriage. After all, their beloved son earned 60 yuan a month, so they weren't worried about finding a good wife. Thus, Fu Wenbin was constantly nagged by his mother, and eventually agreed to divorce me. Fu Wei was the golden grandson of the family, so he had to stay with Fu Wenbin, while Cindy stayed with me. At first, my mother-in-law was adamant about not letting Jia Yi stay with Wenbin, insisting that she be raised by me instead. I disagreed as well, and was equally determined not to. Raising this ungrateful wretch, in the end, I had to agree to give my mother-in-law 7 yuan every month as child support for Jia Yi before they agreed to take her in. It's done, joy. And so, Fu Wenbin and I finally got divorced. After the divorce, Fu Wenbin was reinstated soon, but his salary was cut to 35 yuan because I caused a scene at the hospital. This incident offended Wang Shui. Fu Wenbin didn't dare to object to the salary cut, fearing that Wang Shui might really fire him. When my mother-in-law found out that Fu Wenbin's salary was only 35 yuan a month, she got so angry that she came to the radio station to pick a fight with me again. I pulled out the station master's bicycle, thinking about riding it to the hospital to cause trouble for Fu Wenbin, but the old station master hurried out to mediate. Last time I rode his bicycle, it almost fell apart, so this time he absolutely refused to lend it to me. Seeing that I was about to cause trouble at the hospital again, my mother-in-law, fearing that Fu Wenbin wouldn't get the final 35 yuan, ran off in a flash. My mother-in-law still wouldn't give up, occasionally coming to the radio station to harass me, hoping to get me fired. The station chief is my dad's childhood friend, so I wasn't afraid of her causing a scene at the radio station. She couldn't do anything to me, and every time she came to make trouble, the station chief sent her away. She was sent back. When my mother-in-law realized she couldn't control me at the radio station, she started harassing me and Cindy at home every day. In the end, I had to threaten her. If she dared to harass me again, I would get Fu Wenchao fired from his job at the shoe factory. I have nothing to lose, so I'm ready to take risks. This tactic worked like a charm. My mother-in-law was so afraid of affecting her younger son's job that she stopped bothering me. I focused on my work and Xianyi's studies. 3 months later, my salary increased to 55 yuan, and Xianyi also achieved third place in school. I saved a portion of my salary each month, and the rest went to food and living expenses. All the social interactions and gifts were spent on Cindy's dance lessons. In my previous life, Cindy loved dancing and had talent, but as her mother, I couldn't afford to support her. Fu Wenbin's salary mostly went to his mother's family. A significant portion of it was used to support his mother's family. For this reason, Wenbin and I argued countless times, but we couldn't spare a single penny for Cindy. Now, I can finally make it up to her. Later, I learned from my neighbors that Fu Wenchao got married to Chen Liang, a teacher from Dongfenghong School. Chen Liang's monthly salary was only 15 yuan, but her former mother-in-law's whole family was very satisfied with her. They thought that by marrying Chen Liang, she could tutor Fu's children at home after work. Fu Wenchao has 3 children, Fu Chang, Fu Gang, and Fu Tingting. Fu Wenxiu has 2 children, Zhao Lily and Zhao Hui, plus Fu Wei and Fu Jiai. There are a total of 7 children to tutor. Chen Liang had just married into the Fu family when her former mother-in-law eagerly suggested that Chen Liang tutor the children. Chen Liang was a second marriage, bringing with her a daughter, Chen Fengshu, into the Fu family. She was already furious tutoring her own child, and the idea of tutoring 7 children at once made her unwilling to agree. Fu Wenbin is once again using that manipulative tactic he used on me to brainwash Chen Liang. You are the eldest daughter-in-law of the Fu family. It's only right that you contribute more. You should be giving more. The whole family is counting on you. Are you never going to stop being so petty and calculating, as the eldest sister-in-law? Is it really that hard for you to take better care of your younger siblings? Lying, you're putting your heart into tutoring the kids now. When they grow up and succeed, they'll all be grateful to you. Bala went on and on, more annoying than Muntang, and Chen Liang's ears were about to get calluses. She thought it was already great to be able to marry Dr. Fu Wenbin in her second marriage, and in the end, she gave in and agreed to all of Fu Wenbin's unreasonable demands. Unreasonable demands. Chen Liang was constantly bothered by students at school, and when she got home, she had to serve her ex-in-law's large family like a beast of burden, tutoring 8 children's homework, and then hand-washing all the clothes that the 8 children and 4 adults had changed. She also had to cook meals for 12 people after work, and after eating, she had to wash all the dishes and utensils herself. This routine didn't last long before she was reported by parents for dozing off during class. After the principal scolded her, she returned to the Fu family and had a huge argument with Fu Wenbin, then quit. No matter how her ex-mother-in-law caused trouble, she no longer contributed to the Fu family, stopped tutoring the children, which infuriated her ex-father-in-law, almost making him pass out from the anger, believing that without Chen Liang's tutoring, the children wouldn't get into Tsinghua or Peking University. He was so anxious that he kept bothering Fu Wenbin every day. Fu Wenbin could only nag Chen Liang, urging her not to hold a grudge. He didn't realize that he had completely broken Chen Liang's heart. Chen Liang also saw through this family of leeches and only took care of her own daughter, ignoring everything else. No one did the work, and the house soon resembled a pigsty. His ex-mother-in-law pretended to be sick again, so Fu Wenbin had to grit his teeth and do the work. He was reprimanded by his unit leader, Wang Shui, and had 5 yuan deducted from his salary. His ex-mother-in-law was so distressed that she ate snake gourds for days, served with congee, while the Fu family was in chaos. Cindy and I lived a peaceful and happy life. When Cindy and I returned home after eating noodles, we found Fu Wei and Fu Jiai waiting for us at the courtyard gate. I couldn't be bothered with them, so I pulled Cindy inside to close the door, but these 2 ungrateful ones clung tightly to my skirt. Mom, take big sister to Dad's place, and let us stay with you. We promise to be good and never make you angry again. Fu Jiai looked up at me with puppy dog eyes. Will you really listen to me? I looked down at these 2 ingrates. Hearing me say that, Fu Wei nodded beside me, saying he would definitely be good, and they thought I agreed to take them in, so they tried to squeeze in, but I slammed the door shut. Since you're so obedient, then hurry up and go back to your dad. Your eldest sister and I are doing just fine. Don't come and disturb me. In this lifetime, I have no guilt towards these 2 children. I will never forget the scene when they abandoned me at the nursing home, knowing full well that I was being abused by the caregivers and covered in bedsores. Yet they turned a blind eye to me. If it weren't for Cindy coming from out of town to pick me up, I would have died there. I will never forgive them. When they saw I wouldn't open the door, they started cursing at me, calling me all sorts of filthy names like bitch and slut. Their manner was exactly the same as my ex-mother-in-law's. Thankfully, I had no expectations of them, or hearing such vile words would have been unbearable. Cindy grabbed the kitchen slop and threw it on their heads. No wonder Mom doesn't want you to. You even curse your own mother. You're not even human. Get out of here right now, or I'll kill you, Cindy said, picking up a big stick and swinging it at them, immediately chasing them away. Seeing them run off, Cindy hurried over and hugged me. Mom, don't be sad, I'm here with you. I led Cindy back into the house, smiling at her. Mom is very happy to have you, not at all sad. Fu Wenbin eventually divorced Chen Liang because, like me, she was unwilling to quit her job and dedicate herself fully to the Fu family. My former mother-in-law tried to arrange another match for Fu Wenbin, but the neighbors had already spread the news about the Fu family far and wide. People who heard about it were hesitant to marry into their family. The Fu family not only had to raise the 2 children left by his ex-wife, but also the 5 children of his younger brother and sister, and had to take care of his father-in-law, mother-in-law. Under these circumstances, even a widow who had been alone for 10 years wouldn't have looked at Wenbin Fu twice. Eventually, he came back asking for reconciliation, spouting all sorts of moral high ground to convince me to return and take care of his entire family. He said his mother couldn't live without me, and the children missed me every night. I was so furious that I immediately ran to my ex-mother-in-law's house, warning her that if Fu Wenbin came to find me again, I would go to the leather shoe factory to find Fu Wenchao. Once, terrified, my ex-mother-in-law kept a tight watch on Fu Wenbin, never daring to let him harass me again. Extra chapter. The Fu family, without Chen Liang as their daughter-in-law and unable to find anyone else to take over, my ex-mother-in-law had to take on the household chores herself, as she originally. I also thought about quitting, but for Fu Wenbin's 35 yuan salary, I had to grit my teeth and bear it. taking care of those 2 ingrates. In my previous life, I worked part-time while taking care of the whole family, and our household expenses were manageable. They could also save money to support Fu Wenchao's family. Now that Fu Wenbin's salary has been cut in half and I no longer work part-time to support the household, they have no money to help Fu Wenchao, and my ex-father-in-law, he had to work in the fields just to earn food, all to save more money for his youngest son. Leaving himself worn out and sick, not long after, his former in-laws passed away, living more than a decade less than in their previous life. No sooner had his former in-laws passed away than Fu Wenbin was kicked out by Fu Wenchao. Before they died, they had already drawn up a will in front of the village head, leaving all of the Fu family's houses to Fu Wenchao and his wife. Wenbin initially refused to believe it, thinking Fu Wenchao was lying, but in the end, the village chief produced the will signed by his former in-laws with their fingerprints. Only then did he cover his face and cry, forced to accept that his own parents never loved him. He had torn his own family apart, leaving him with nothing, while his salary and the house he was entitled to were given to his younger brother's family. He was consumed with hatred and demanded that Fu Wenchao return all the wages he had earned over the years. What a pipe dream. Fu Wenbin had given all his wages over the years to his former mother-in-law, and Fu Wenchao stubbornly denied having the money. Fu Wenbin had no choice but to file a lawsuit, but even going to court didn't help, as his wages were indeed sent to his former mother-in-law every month. Now that she's passed away, he has no savings left, no home, and can only rent a place to live with his 2 children. The hospital also fired him for repeatedly prescribing the wrong medication, and in the end, he could only work at a clinic in the village, earning a meager salary each month, 20 yuan a month, 20 yuan a month, and we still have to rent a place to live. There's no way we can afford to send Fu Wei and Fu Jiai to school. They dropped out of middle school and went to work. When I found out they couldn't afford to continue their education, I asked a neighbor to tell them I would cover their tuition. But these ungrateful brats didn't appreciate it at all. They thought they could go out and work and make a fortune on their own. In the end, after a whole year, they didn't save a single penny and started targeting me, looking for me everywhere. Over the years, I've been diligently working at the commune radio station, achieving the best performance. The station chief recommended me to the city radio station for a job. Those 2 ungrateful scoundrels want to find me and bleed me dry. Not a chance. I moved to the city with Cindy, and I rented the house allocated by the radio station to the station chief's family. It wasn't really renting. It was more like asking the station chief to help me hold on to the house. I kept the house occupied. The house is still mine. After the policy was implemented, I bought the house, waiting for the property prices to double, to leave to Cindy. The end. That's all for today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe. If you have any suggestions, feel free to leave a comment below. See you in the next video.